Welcome to Friday, May 27th, 2022. This Day Weather Podcast brought to you by Cowboy State Daily. Cowboy State Daily has more original Wyoming news content than any other news organization in the state. Cowboy State Daily, sign up for the daily newsletter and check them out on their Facebook page. As we head into the big 3-day weekend, I know some folks have probably already left. Folks are getting ready to go to get the first weekend of summer started. Well, as we have been talking all week, the weather really isn't going to cooperate very much. It will in some areas, but in a lot of the region, that is really not going to be the case. But do expect a warm and breezy day today. Temperatures will be quite warm. In fact, we are going to be looking at highs in many areas getting into the 70s, 80s, even lower 90s in the central and southern plains. So do be ready for warm weather for one more day. But the winds are going to pick up. You'll see some high and mid-level clouds. Do expect some windy areas. And later today, there's going to be some showers and thunderstorms moving into the Pacific Northwest and parts of the western areas of Wyoming, parts of Utah, Idaho, western Montana, back into the Pacific Northwest. We're still holding on to that variety of weather this weekend. You will experience over the next 4 days in some parts of the West, especially parts of Wyoming and Montana, Idaho, and Utah, and parts of northwest Colorado. You're going to experience just about every season. We're going to see significant rain for parts of southern Montana and northern Wyoming. So the Bighorn Basin of Wyoming, the northern counties of Wyoming, and the southern counties of Montana. There's going to be a concentration where the heavier rain and thunderstorm activity will be. The mountainous terrain in those areas will see the heaviest snow, especially the Bighorns, the Beartooth Mountains, the Absarokas, the southwest mountains of Montana, down into the Tetons and parts of the Wind Rivers, and into the Bitterroot of Idaho. Those are those locations that are going to see the heaviest mountain snow. It is going to be rather cool, especially Sunday through Tuesday and next week, and probably into Wednesday. It really won't be until Thursday or Friday till we warm up. So a pretty big cool down's coming for most of you and staying that way into early next week. And here's the culprit. And you can see very impressive swirl of low clouds here off the coast of British Columbia. We have shown you a lot of these over the last several weeks. Have you noticed a trend? They just continue to come from the same source region into the Gulf of Alaska, off the coast of British Columbia. Then they swing through the Pacific Northwest and they kind of take a track like this. And this is exactly what this system is going to do. Out ahead of it, you can see some clouds here. These are mainly mid and high level clouds, but this will be an active area of developing showers and thunderstorms later today, tonight, and especially into Saturday morning. This is why there's the upper level low in the 500 millibar chart, but the warm westerly flow pumping in warm air for the central and northern Rockies, and especially the southern plains, going to be really warm into this area here today. But by Saturday afternoon, so this is by today, by tomorrow afternoon, the colder air is coming into the Pacific Northwest, and the main leading edge of colder air, the cold front, pushes through a good portion of Wyoming by late Saturday. So for Saturday, a large part of the region Saturday is still going to be pretty warm, but increasingly cloudy with showers and thunderstorms developing. And then by Monday, we just kind of have a big blob of low pressure centered over western Nebraska and western South Dakota, but this, we'll call it a lobe, so to speak. Kind of looks like a kidney bean, another little low coming in behind it. And basically, this is going to just slow down and keep us in a cool, moist air mass for an extended period from late tomorrow through Tuesday and into early Wednesday. It's just not going to hightail it out of here anytime soon. So I'll step you through the temperatures this weekend, so find yourself on the map and where you're going to be. These are temperatures for Sunday. For tomorrow, it's still going to be mild, relatively speaking, but getting cooler in the western areas. By Sunday, the colder air gets a little further south and east. This is by Monday, and you can see Memorial Day Monday, with the exception down here in the southern areas. Monday is going to cool off and be quite cool for everybody. Look at these purple areas across the west and across into the Great Basin in the central Rockies. As we go back to work on Wednesday and Tuesday, well, still cool. These are Tuesday's temperatures relative to average. So this is going to be a multi-day cool down, but with that will come precipitation. Now, I talked about how there's a focused area in southern Montana back into Idaho. This area right here, this is the focal point of the heaviest rain. Now, this is through Monday. Through Monday, this is where the most consistent rainfall will be, and high mountain snow. And you can see lots of 2s here, 1s here. So there is a real good chance of 1 to 2 inch amounts of rain in the northern parts of Wyoming, the Bighorn Basin of Wyoming, up around Sheridan, Buffalo, up into Billings. It is certainly going to focus on southern Montana and northern Wyoming, then back into Idaho. Unfortunately, not as much rain up here as we had hoped. They'll get some. I think they'll get more than that than it's showing. But southern Montana and the northern half of Wyoming, really, really wet. And then look into western South Dakota, look into western North Dakota. Parts of Nebraska going to get really wet as well. Now, on the southern end of the system, there's going to be an active showers and thunderstorms as well in the northwest Colorado, northeast Colorado, and then into Salt Lake, then into the Wasatch Front, even into the Uinta Mountains here. So it's going to be wet. But notice, as we have been talking all spring, you go south of I-70, it's not nearly much going on there as it is in the northern areas once again. To focus in a little bit tighter, so here's Wyoming and here's Montana, and you can see that heavier rain focused right on the Bighorns, the Beartooths, the Yellowstone Plateau, back into the western and central mountains of Wyoming and southwestern Montana, eastern Idaho. Look at the high mountains of Utah here and southeastern Idaho. You're going to see significant amounts of moisture. Snowfall-wise, this is what the snow will look like in the high country, even into the southwest mountains of Colorado. Those mountains will be dusted with a little bit of snow that far south. And as we focus in, Yellowstone Park, the Beartooths, look at the Beartooths. That's just one enhanced area that we continue to see here, as well as the Bighorn Mountains, the Wind Rivers, and the Yellowstone Plateau into Jackson Hole and the Tetons and those areas there. If you want adventure with snow, head to those areas this weekend. Have a good weekend despite the forecast. We'll be talking to you early next week. Have yourself a good weekend and a safe one.